guest is Anaina Batra. She's CEO of Asian Venture Philanthropy Network. And you probably have not heard of this organization, but this is a very high-powered operation that worked with some of the world's largest and most activist organizations for philanthropic opportunities. Accenture, Amazon, American Express, on and on. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This was actually before the divorce. I don't know how it works now, but anyway, that's not. But in any case, she's really having a huge impact professionalizing and revolutionizing philanthropic giving across the Asia region. So we're really pleased to have her.
Thank you, Richard, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are as you hear this. I grew up in a privileged household in India. I was an only child, and I went to an all-girls school and then got a scholarship to an all-women's college in the United States. And all through my childhood and adolescence, there was no one who ever told me that there was anything I could not do because I was a woman. I started my career with a prominent multinational bank, and I accepted this job out of several offers I received, primarily because this job offered me the opportunity to move back to India from the United States. It was a large multinational company, and in countries like ours, those jobs were considered to be really the best that you could get. However, in my first year, I faced sexual harassment from my boss, who was then a senior member of the HR department. And when I chose to highlight this, it was initially not taken very seriously. However, after I persisted, it turned out that mine was not a sole incident, and no one had dared to speak up because of the fear of not being believed or having to bear consequences that sometimes could be too much. Too often, we as women are told to take back our complaints or concerns because it will adversely affect men who are viewed as the principal breadwinners. And it makes speaking up even harder for women and other marginalized gender groups who are then made to feel that they are bringing a good person down. The average number of years to achieve gender parity across the board is 135 years. That's about 4 generations. And as an Asian leader and an Asian woman CEO, I think that's far too long. The Asia Gender Network, which, as you talked about, Richard, is supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We are committed to moving more than $100 million to close the SDG gap. I think this is really important. And the reason I have mentioned all of these stories and situations, it's because we see there is a funding gap that is related to gender, that is related to women founders. And as a network of social impact investors, in our conversations with our members, we've identified that it's important to look at a gender lens across the causes that our members fund. Whether it's education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's livelihoods, or whether it's investing in businesses. Effective leadership is no longer a hierarchical, individualistic, hyper-masculine kind of concept. I think across the world, well-recognized leaders are emerging as champions of inclusiveness, of collaboration, and of womanhood, because advocating for women means that you will advocate for everyone.
Naina, I find there's a lot of organizations that would like to do more, either contributing, you mentioned millions of dollars and so forth that you're helping to place, and also within their organizations. What is something that, a bit of a success story you've heard organizations get involved with?
So I think it's not really about being an activist. It's really about looking around yourself and seeing, how do I actually make sure that women, girls and boys, women and men are sort of offered equal opportunities. It starts by, simple things, right? We have we have a program, we have a member called Educate Girls. And, it looks at supporting or keeping more than 1 million girls in school. Now, when you think about it, it's not just about keeping girls in school. It's actually having access to clean toilets. It's having access to running water. Most girls, when they reach adolescence, tend to drop out of school. If you keep a girl in school, you not only educate that girl, you make sure that the next 2 generations of her family will also look at education. So look around you and see what you support, right? Most of us, if not all of us, have a very positive attitude towards women, whether they be, in our family, whether they be people we have relationships with. It's when women come into the workforce, it's kind of at some point that equation just gets lopsided. So I will actually tell you, forget, not just about philanthropic dollars. What can all of us do in the workplace to make sure that the women we work with, our colleagues that we work with, feel that they are an equal part of the workforce and are supported just as much as our male colleagues?